Okay, welcome to Under the Influence. And Kenzie, once again, I'm just like right out of the gate because congratulations, you're engaged. And I just don't even want to talk about
Thank
anything else.
you.
You know what? You're pumped, is what you said to me.
I am pumped. I think that's like an understatement, but yes, I'm still processing.
Like, I would think that if you got like concert tickets to like your favorite band, you would say, I'm pumped. I don't think I've ever heard somebody use the phrase, I'm pumped, to describe being engaged, but I'm very, very happy for you. And congratulations to you and Brian. So let me get that out of the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I tell everybody what you messaged me, what you texted me?
I don't even know what you're referring to, but probably that's fine.
You're just playing coy. You said that Ellis congratulated you.
Oh, she did. I was so excited to see that.
Right? Do you want to tell everybody what I said?
You were like, yeah, well, Ellis also comments on your post saying that he thinks that the sushi looks delicious and he doesn't like sushi.
That's right.
But I want to genuinely think that he's excited for me.
I just want to manage your expectations.
No, it's great. I was just happy to see that he said anything.
No, I'm happy for you both, and I know you're traveling soon, so that's got to add a whole nother like excitement level to things. It'll be like a big party.
Yeah, we leave actually tonight. Going to Croatia for a week, so super excited for that. Pumped, as I say.
You can't be pumped
but
for the engage. Now you've diminished the engagement by being pumped for the trip. Do you know? I hope Brian is listening because you can't. It's like Seinfeld. Like that's a Seinfeld thing. You can't be pumped for both. Now you've diminished what pumped is. You could be excited for the trip, but pumped for the engagement.
yes, okay. We'll say. Well, but I'm excited for the engagement too. You know, like I just feel like
I just think they can't be at the same level. I think the engagement's got to be way more exciting.
I'm super pumped for the engagement.
Listen,
How about that?
in all seriousness, I've known you for almost as long as I've been doing whatever it is that I do. And
Yes.
I feel like really in the last year or so, I've gotten to know you a bit more. And
Hmm.
you laugh when I say this to you. Yeah, you're one of the most normal people I've met through all of this. And I know that that's like a low bar. And so you always give me a hard time when I say that. But you are fantastic. You are dependable. You are unique in that respect, and I am just very, very happy for you. And I know you, so I know things, and I know that you're pumped. And because I know what pumped is for Kenzie. Pumped is we're at the Polynesian, fireworks are in 8 minutes. We should watch them at the Contemporary. That's pumped. And so I know what that is, and I'm just very happy for you. It could see, this is a weird phrase now too, and I hit the mic right off the gate, and I hate when I do that, Kenzie, and I'll think about it for the next 3 days. But I was gonna say it couldn't happen to a better person, or you really like you deserve it, but those phrases don't apply either. Anyway,
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I mean,
trying to mix the
it's no poly with
what? Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I feel like the poly with the fireworks and the contemporary thing was so chaotic, but I'll do whatever it takes to go see happily ever after. So
No,
that's
well,
another level of pumped.
that's another level of Kenzie, and it's funny because that was like that. That was like, oh, I get it now because this is actually something that I would do. So I embraced it. I don't know. Like most people would
I feel like
panic.
you doubted me for a second.
Oh, I doubted you the whole way.
Yeah, you did.
And no,
You really
not
did.
hold
Not
on.
a second.
I don't think we've ever talked about this before in the 2 episodes we've done. So I'm doubting you. And we like
Yep.
get to the Contemporary, and like we actually have like the show has just started, but I'm like, we can see the show right now if we go out that door to the viewing area between the main building and Bay Lake Tower. And we
I didn't
do
want
it.
it.
And we do it. And then you were like, no, it's not good enough. I'd rather miss this part of the show for the rest of the show. All right. I'm like, this girl's crazy. But listen, that's a good crazy. In all of that ridiculousness, what I'm trying to say is that I sincerely, I'm very happy for you. You are just an awesome friend, a fantastic person, and I couldn't be happier for you both. And will you still do the podcast the day of the wedding? I guess is what Ellis was going to ask me to ask you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't have a date yet, but I could make it happen if I really wanted to.
Well, could you just schedule it?
Wake up earlier.
Could you just take the podcast into consideration when scheduling the wedding so we don't miss a day?
You know what? I hadn't thought about that, but now that you mention it, it's crucial.
Or hear me out, even better, Kensie. Wedding in Tokyo.
Ooh, it might be cheaper than anywhere here in the States.
Have you thought about taking, now, because I've seen this happen too, have you thought about taking the Disney influencer approach to this whole thing and just leveraging the wedding for that?
I have not, no. I mean, I live, in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I never, ever thought about that approach.
Have you thought about it now that I said it?
No.
You still haven't thought? So when I first started...
For how long I've known you, I know that, I think I've learned so much from seeing it on both ends, as a viewer and then hearing your perspective. So I hope I don't offend you by saying that I have no interest in it from what I've learned.
I hope I don't offend you in saying that I would be so disappointed if you took that approach. I would question my judgment of you, because running to the fireworks is one thing, right? Running to the fireworks in ears is another thing, and that's just me. But where do you draw the line? And it's cute, it's fun. I've seen people do the Star Wars wedding where the husband and wife have a lightsaber duel, and I'm just like, why are you imposing that upon people? It's cringy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I've told you before that I'm not a merch person. I'm a very minimal fan of Disney, even though my fiance will disagree with me. But I'm a minimal person. I like to go to the parks, but I'm wearing, a Disney t-shirt. Maybe I wear ears, but that's kind of where I go.
Now you've been engaged.
You buy anything from the stores.
You've been engaged 48 hours. 48 hours, right?
What's Yeah, sure.
Okay, you're like, where's he going with this? How many times do you think you said the word fiance over 100 times so far?
No, I haven't.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Well, we had to, I won't go into the details of the story, but we had to keep it to ourselves for a day because we had another friend that got married and we didn't want to upstage, her day. So
that's considerate.
Said that to each other, but I have not gone out and been like, here's my, fiance. So
why didn't he just wait a day then? Did you ask him that, or was it just? Oh, and never mind. I could fill an hour with this because it's interesting to me.
I know. Well, we leave for our trip, and he wanted to do it.
You don't know. Yeah, I don't want to turn your life into content. You'll.
Here's my social security number.
Oh, you're doing my material now. Okay, so. But so this all reminds me, and I really do appreciate you, but this does remind me of when in the early days of doing TikTok before I moved to Florida to do the parks. So that's how long ago we're talking. There was there was a girl that did Disney content. So this is before lives were even a thing, and she was one of these people that didn't live in Disney, but and she had a small following, whatever. She did the whole Disney bride thing, but clearly had her fiance stage the proposal in front of the castle, and did the whole thing. And he's just oh my God, it's so transparent. And again, I'm bringing it back to the title of the show. And you look at people like that, even if it's not Disney, you just look at what people do for attention on the internet as a whole.
Mhm.
And it is so, so toxic, and it is so unhealthy, not just for the person doing it. Kenzie, I just watched a video on Twitter right before this of somebody emptying out a deodorant stick, melting down butter, and filling it into a deodorant stick and using it to apply butter to a frying pan.
Do you feel like that wasted a good 2 minutes of your life?
It did. I mean, I'm able to repurpose it into content right now. So that's kind of what they say is meta about it all, you know?
Yeah.
But then again, who's listening to this? Because there's 10,000 podcasts, right? I got to
Yeah.
say something nuts on here for people to pay attention. And the only way that's going to happen is if I say something so nuts that toxic people start promoting it. So and I know what to say. I could say, there's 100 things I could say right now that could move the needle. And I just opt not to
But
say it.
should you?
Yeah, but I know, and they don't even necessarily have to do with Disney. Listen, I was thinking, I'm going to just keep congratulating you throughout the whole podcast. So anyway, so congratulations
Yeah, I
to
love
you. No, I'm very happy
Thank
for you.
you.
Kenzie, I freaking love you, and I know a lot of people do who I know who know you, and you're just good people, and not that I would ever share the wontons with. There's a line.
No, that's yeah. You got to draw the line in the sand there. I won't even share them with my fiance.
Well, see, but that's boundaries. You understand now, because before you judged.
I do.
Yeah, the wontons.
I had the wontons, and I understand now.
Yeah, well, you've assimilated. I'm talking about the wontons at the Cali Grill. Sorry, I told you it's like, for me, radio is like keeping the ball in the air. So I'm shot out of the gate. So I do that because I feel like you're not supposed to have dead air, you know. And
you're really not.
Well, I've been doing radio for a long time. It's funny. Somebody made a comment, and here we go, Kenzie. I'm gonna check these off the list right now. You ready? Watch this transition. Yep. I've been doing this for a long time, and somebody made a comment on Discord that, oh, I heard, I stumbled across your other podcast because there's a Disney Parks Live thing, and in the early days, it was just audio replayed from the live streams. And then I started doing like topical podcasts. I used to do like live streams with viewer calls and podcast it, but it was never a proper podcast. And I always started to overthink it. So when we started this, I wanted something that wasn't tied to Disney, but that still sits there. So here's my response. You ready? Royce, I discovered this podcast. You're really, really good at it. I started listening to the old ones. I know you haven't done them in a while. They're really, really good. You're really good at this. And I'm like, I just wrote back, thank you so much. I guess I should delete those.
Even though people enjoy them?
Yeah, that was my response. I should delete those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious as to why, though, if somebody likes them, if they like the content.
Because it's like, well, they're just sitting there. They're disconnected. There's no, I don't know. It's just sort of like, and even if I was going to do something on that podcast channel, if you will, like, I would have to be more dialed in and more thought out. I come from a production background, so it's a weird thing. I'm always wanting to produce everything, and there are two sides to the internet. There's the produced stuff that does really well, and then there's just the stuff that people do.
Yeah.
And I embrace both. And sometimes the pendulum swings. Like sometimes I'll post videos. Like I posted a TikTok video the other day for a TikTok product because I was like, I got to fulfill the obligation, but I want to make a video that gets next to no views. So I'm going to do this. Like, I just want to fulfill the obligation so I get more free stuff, but I'm not going to sit, whatever. Yeah. So like you play the internet and the internet plays you back because then you're like, in those moments when you're like, oh, I worked really, really hard and I'm going to post this video and you get no views and you hate it, and then you look at somebody else who does something in the same world and maybe you look at it as less, but it gets way more views and you're like, really? I could have just done that instead?
It's the toxic side of social media.
Right. So then you rebel and then you do crappy content,
Mhm.
So it's just this. And this is just me speaking for me over what I've done in the last 6 days of social media.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a very weird thing. And I was talking to another content creator about it, and it's like I've done this already. I've done this successfully. What's next? You reach, and I feel like I'm in that phase of my life right now. There are still people trying to do. This is the conversation I was having with them. There's people trying to do what we do successfully that still haven't cracked it. We've cracked it and moved on and are ready to move on. And in many ways, if they ban TikTok, it's a gift for me.
You've said that many times before, yeah.
It is because it'll force me into the next phase of my life. And I'm not afraid of what that looks like because I've been there before, and I've been there with far worse circumstance. So I welcome the adventure, but that's the entrepreneurial spirit in me,
Yeah. Well, that's how you got into, live streaming in the first place, right?
Right, which now is going to check off the other box because I started to think about this the other day. And then we're going to talk Tokyo for the rest of the show. But I started thinking about this. I saw a post and somebody goes, did you know that Tom Green, remember Tom Green?
No.
You don't remember Tom Green from MTV, the Canadian guy? My bum is on the
No.
rail. My bum is on the rail.
Oh gosh, no. I mean, I won't say my age on here, but I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
That's so cryptic that you won't, like, what's wrong with your age? But okay, that's fine. Don't say your age. So that's weird. Like, there's not, like, what's your age going to reveal? I can understand not saying your social security number. What are people going to do with your age?
I'm in my early 30s.
All right.
My early 30s.
Weird one to hold back on. I'm not going to say my age, but here's my.
You don't know what people are up to.
Here's my VIN number. So, okay. Anyway, Tom Green was a comic. He did like cable access television, and then he became like a big hit on MTV for a few years, and then he like did a movie or two, and then he disappeared, and then he came and he married Drew Barrymore at one point on Saturday Night Live. And then he came back and did like a live internet TV show. And I saw a post saying, did you know that it was Tom Green who gave Joe Rogan the idea to do his podcast? He went on the Tom Green show from Tom's house, and it gave Joe Rogan the idea to start his podcast 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And a light bulb went off in my head. You know what I said to myself? I was a producer on that Tom Green show. I forgot all about it. The reason I was a producer on that show is because I was a technical producer, okay? Because when Tom was doing the show out of his house, okay, he needed to convert the setup so that he could do it both on the internet and on live television. And I was brought in because I had had success for years doing a live internet radio show before podcasting was a term. Kensie, when the term podcasting came out, I didn't understand it because it was so oversimplified, and I hit the mic again, and I'm going to hit myself in the head if I do it again, okay? Because it drives me nuts. I got to move the mic higher. So, and you can hear it too, right? You hear the little ding?
Very, very faintly. Like, I actually wouldn't have even noticed it if you didn't say anything.
Well, it's driving me nuts.
I think you're overthinking it.
Well, maybe I'm just doing it for the sake of radio. So anyway, listen, so they brought me in to do it because I had success doing this. I did live internet radio before podcasting was a term. We had phone lines. I did it for 4 years. Every Sunday, I had callers from all over the world, and it was on underground radio. I won a nationwide contest to be on FM radio. And so I built this thing from nothing and got one day on FM radio in Adam Carolla's seat. Well, in Los Angeles radio, but the station flipped formats, so I never got to do my show. But I was supposed to have a show.
Okay.
Right? So, but then podcasting becomes a term, and I'm like, what is podcasting? And I didn't understand it. But I didn't understand it because I was into live. And
Right.
podcasting was just basically pre-recorded shows, but it was so oversimplified, my brain couldn't comprehend it because I'm like, how is that an innovation? But it was the distribution method that became the innovation, you see. And
I
so
see. Yeah.
so anyway, so I say all that just is I've been doing this for a long time, and I forgot until I saw that post, because it wasn't just going back to those days, it was going back to the days that got me there, which was pre-podcasting. I was on Rant Radio, then it was supposed to be FMHD. I did the 97.1 show, and then I got to, I helped. So I took everything that I had learned building this studio in this little apartment above a garage in Beverly Hills. The whole setup, and
Yeah.
and
Done it all.
and then I got hired by like these guys to build it out for Tom. By the way, Tom Green owes me like $4,000 or something like that. I'll never see it, but
Would you hear this?
yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, they owe me money, okay? And he wasn't happy because like one day I walked in. And this is how, like, I just told you how long ago this was, right? I mean, this is like, you got to remember, like, YouTube isn't even a thing. Like, iPhones aren't even a thing yet, right? This is the early days, and I forgot how involved I was on a certain level for a minute. And so anyway, so I walk in and Tom goes, "Did you just see we got nominated for TV Guide's best show on the internet?" TV Guide. That tells you how long ago this was.
I was just gonna say that.
And do you know what I said to him?
What?
I said, "You're the only show on the internet." and this guy next to me who was just trying to kiss butt because he was a vendor selling product goes, "Tough crowd." And I'm like, no, that wasn't my point. And then Tom got PO'd, which is probably why he never paid me. I'm like, that wasn't my point. Nobody's doing it. Like, you shouldn't be nominated. You should be awarded.
Right. Who else is like going to be nominated?
Yeah. So that guy threw me under the bus. Tom didn't like it. Tom owes me 4 G's. Anyway, so, but to say all that is I've been involved in this for a long time. I've built up social media profiles for other people. And I've done things like during the pandemic, I did like the Japanese American pilgrimages. I created virtual pilgrimages and live produced those for national parks and recreation so that those folks could stay connected when COVID was keeping them apart. Okay, so I've been using social media in different ways over the years to produce content for others and for myself, and I've been on the forefront of it all. Many ways. You can see the similarities in many ways to me being on the forefront of this whole Disney Live thing on TikTok. So I say all that to say to you, Kensie, when I stop and I take a look back, it is why I could care less if Disney banned it tomorrow or if TikTok was banned tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, like you said, you're at the forefront of what's next. And I think that you'll have no problem figuring it out if that's, what ends up happening. And with all of the experience that you have across all these different platforms and, going from live radio to podcasting or, whatever, I can't even imagine what's coming next, but I'm sure you'll tell me.
I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what's coming next, but I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. At the end of the day, for me, it has to involve quality content. And I think the biggest hurdle that I have lately is creating quality content. Me going on the same rides for 3.5 years hurts my head. And I love hanging out with everybody, but here's the problem I have. The kind of people that are going to watch that, generally speaking, the majority, okay, are the kind of people that are going to watch me or 10 other creators. So what does that mean? Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that they have no real quality preference. What they're really just looking for is the sounds of Disney Park Radio. Okay. Fine.
Yep.
I provided that. But at a certain point, that does not scale. You see, that doesn't scale because I can do that over and over again. But if I'm not there, you're going to hop to the next person. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to watch the next person. And in the case of TikTok, you may not support the next person monetarily. Okay? But you're going to watch
there's
them.
so many out there.
Right,
Yeah.
but you're going to watch them. So the mechanism of the app for the creator, and this is the conversation I was having with this other individual, and the only reason I'm not saying their name is because I'm hoping to have them on maybe even next episode. So, but the nature of the app is like you have to be hooked in and on and in that loop perpetually to make that money, right? At least in the live streaming game. So you have two types of viewers: the people that want to be there for you and will support you, and you have the everybody else, which is the majority, which just wants to watch a Disney live. And they're louder than your most ardent supporters, but they're the ones that have the largest impact because they're louder. So now what happens is you pack up and go home early during the hurricane because everybody's yelling and screaming and you can't win, and you're like, why am I here?
Mm-hmm.
So then the next day when the hurricane's over, it's like, why am I going back? This just makes me a monkey dancing, and you people will watch anything anyway. I only really want to be creating quality content for a quality audience at this point. You understand? I don't want the McDonald's audience.
Yeah, I hear you.
But it wasn't that way in the beginning.
No, I think it's because, there are so many content creators out there now. So like to your point, they're just scrolling through and watching anybody that will show the Disney content. So as live streaming becomes more popular, I think that there's more people that are getting invested in looking for those live streams. And when you first started, you were the first one I found because I think you were one of the first ones that ever did it. So
on TikTok.
On TikTok, yeah. Yeah. I know it was out there on YouTube for a while, but I think you just had a little bit more of a quality audience in the beginning because it was a limited audience.
I don't think it was a quality audience in the beginning. I would respectfully disagree. I think the content was better in the beginning because it was fresh. But now, when it's your 100th time on the People Mover that day because you've watched 10 other people, what am I providing you? That's what I start to question. Now, if you're somebody that's purely there for the attention, which so many are because it's late in the trend, and that's how trend cycles work, then you don't think about those things. But if you're somebody who's on the forefront of trends and tends to be historically, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I'm trying to remind myself that, and that's just, by the way, the social media landscape. I was on the front of the entire free play arcade trend. I built that trend in Los Angeles, and that is documented proof. Go Google it. I built that trend. Okay? And then I took money from every other arcade as the repair guy. Not everyone, but the bulk of them. Okay? So it's just sort of like, as an entrepreneur, I look at this differently than most of these clout chasers. All right? And the reason I really want to bring on this next guest next week is because he does too. And I think if you're looking at it that way, you've got to realize that we've reached critical mass. And when you reach critical mass, you are no longer it's harder to differentiate yourself in the market because the market is oversaturated. And then how do you differentiate yourself? You almost have to break the thing that you built.
Yep.
And that's what I've been doing for the last however long. I've just been slowly breaking it and hoping that with those cracks that I'm creating, I lose some of those people that are just looking to watch the next Disney live. And I can name some of the people that I know are going to hang with me because they're still here, but are like, oh, you're doing Legos today. I want to be here for that. Not the person that's like, when are you going back to the parks? Because if that's all you're here for at this point, go watch somebody else. You're also probably not supporting me. And quite frankly, here's the other internal struggle. If you are supporting me, I'm tired of your support. And I mean that in the most loving, respectful way, because the app that is TikTok relies too much on you, and it's not fair.
Right.
So
I feel like we could have a whole other podcast on this.
Well, but these are conversations. I mean, we could do whatever we want. We could finish this conversation and then bump we could do whatever we want. It's our show. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah,
And
you're right.
I've
You're
learned
right.
that. I don't have to I can have that conversation with you and nobody else. Look, one of the things that I really appreciate about you, Kensie, and this is coming from the person that ran a brick and mortar business, is like you're the kind of person that no longer like exists in the workforce. People who actually will show up and do the thing that they're supposed to do, which isn't supposed to be a big ask. Hey, I
Right.
made a commitment. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's. How do I want to say this?
Say it however you want.
I feel. No, I know. I just feel like it's kind of like it's maybe like an outdated expectation that isn't around anymore, because I think about like when people go and work for companies, a lot of people in older generations will go to a company and they'll either be there for like 15 years or like their entire career, right? Like they want to remain loyal to their employer. And then more recently, like the younger millennials and the Gen Zers, I feel like it's more normal to hop around different careers chasing, the money bag and the titles and everything. So it's kind of an interesting thing to see, like the people that are dedicated to what they signed up for, and then the people that just want maybe the attention, or they get bored easily and move on.
Well, getting bored easily and moving on is something that I feel like I do, but it's at a different point in the trend cycle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's just like a level of respect that you have to do with it, though. Like if it makes sense, do it, but at least have the conversation, the genuine conversation with somebody if you feel like you can't commit to it anymore or something along those lines.
Well, okay, I was talking more in the pursuit of business and the discovery process, and the way that I like to experiment with technology. You're really talking more relationships, but I think, yeah, look, and we got to move on to this Tokyo thing, but I think in many ways, because of social media, we've lost a lot of these. I don't even like the phrase I'm going to use, but it's the only phrase that comes to mind. We've lost a lot of the societal norms that actually kind of kept us intact as a culture, even though I argue that we have no culture. It was something like, so there like I will say this to you really, really quick. I remember when COVID hit, and I had this business, and I fed many, many people, okay, over the course of my business. And I just remember the way people handled that. And I just remember when it was down to the last 5,000 square feet of warehouse, packed to the brim with giant arcade games and all sorts of stuff, how people just bailed. And, people will have their reasons for bailing, and that's fine. But, like, I've always been the person that, like, has tried to deliver. If I say I'm going to do something, then I really try to do it. Okay. And you can't always deliver, but you try. So I just sort of like, if you were there for me, I'm going to be there for you. If you said you're going to do something for me and I said I'm going to do something for you, that's reciprocity. I don't do things with the expectation of someone returning the favor, but I do honor reciprocity.
Right. And, you did say that, you think I'm referring more to like relationships than business, but I think relationships are business too. I think it can be applied both ways, when you're talking about like a level of respect when you commit to something, and you just have to have that conversation with somebody if you feel like this isn't, a good fit, or if you feel like you need to move on for whatever reason it may be.
See, we could just keep going on this, and I could just table the Tokyo thing, but the problem I have, and again, I don't want to name people as much as I really could, and I'm capable of it, is I can think of people who've helped me over the last couple years and have voluntarily said, I want to help, let me know what you need, but then never really showed up. And again, they're going to have their reasons, okay, but I'm more times than not, they're not rooted in anything other than hot air. And what you find with most people, and sadly, it's in the workforce where you're supposed to be compensated. But now what you have is we live in a world where the compensation's not enough. Like even with the hurricane, you're like, let these workers go home. I'm like, fair, but these workers are being paid. Like at a
Well,
certain,
and there anyway. Like, there's people that are just stuck in Florida because the airports are closed and roads are backed up. Like,
Disney,
I didn't understand that comment, but whatever.
I think Disney had like 5,000 people on their ride out crew. People were signing up to work. So it's just sort of one of these things where social media again has really teared at the fabric of our society, and I'm not a big fan of the word society, but whatever. So it's teared at that to the extent that everybody now has an opinion, but can't see anybody else's side, and everyone's stuck in their corners. I digress. I'm going to leave it there. Let's just hard pivot to this Tokyo conversation, and let's crunch some numbers with the rest of the show.
Sounds good.
Because I mean, and look, we can keep talking about this other stuff later. It's fascinating to me to look at how and why some people do what they do. And like, yeah, I know what I know. We'll see if I get this person on next week. If I get this person on next week, this will really fill the gap in this conversation, because I think it's fascinating to like see in my time when I'm not streaming how many people are out there chasing something. And I'm like, don't you realize that the trend is over? Like, you can't, you'd be better off finding something fresh, but that's just the way the world works. There are always the late adapters. And I guess I'm fascinated by the people that show up late and then actually overspend, whether it's time or money, they overspend and they're late.
Mm-hmm.
Or the people that hang on forever. Another name comes to mind, who hangs on forever and ever and ever, and I know for a fact is flailing like a fish out of water, but hangs on for what reasons I don't know, to the detriment of many dependents. So with that, I digress.
A little cliffhanger for next episode, right?
What now?
A little cliffhanger for the next episode, right?
Yeah, I'll get him on. He's just, he's just a nudge. He's a nudge. Anyway, all right. So first off, how do we want to do this? We want to show people that a Tokyo trip is cheaper than a Disney World trip. You want to do one person,
That's
4 people?
Theory. Right?
It is, but do you want to do one people? Do you want to do one person? Do you want to do 4 people? What do you think makes sense?
So I feel like the solo trips, one person thing is probably a unique experience. I have to imagine that a 4-person trip, whether it be like a family or friends, is probably more relatable to people. So I would say 4.
And I mean, you could in theory divide by 4 and still probably be in the ballpark. Well,
sure.
Maybe not because of the hotel, but all right. So do you want to put a Disney World trip together really quick? That should take all of like 3 minutes to do on the website.
Yep.
Where are we putting this family of 4? Somewhere mid-range?
Yeah, you think like a moderate resort?
So let's book for next October, just so we're far enough out.
Okay.
And
it's not I don't know if it's letting me.
Well, go as far out as you can, and then we'll work with that.
March.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. I don't know why I thought October was closer. I got confused.
A year from well, you hear about people that book trips like, the year from now, but maybe they're just booking, I don't know, their flights or something. I feel like that's something that you can book out that far in advance.
I think I was thinking about my next trip to Tokyo. So yeah, like I don't know.
Now it's working for me. This website is, that's another issue.
Well, look where they choose to spend. Yeah. So family of 4, I would say something like Pop Art, if you can swing it.
Okay. So I feel like Pop and Art is more of like the value resort. So that will probably be on like the lower end of what to expect. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, why not? But I mean, if you can get it, I mean, it's probably still gonna, and where's this family flying from in this hypothetical?
Yeah, that's another thing. So I have the cost for the room. Do we want to start with the room?
Yeah, go for it. What's the room, like $270 a night?
Close, $250, but that excludes tax. So maybe you are coming up to $270
plus resort
at the
fee.
end of all of this. Oh, is that a thing?
Yeah. All right. So let's go. Let's say you're going Sunday to Sunday. Let's just do a Sunday to Sunday trip just to make the math easy all the way around, right?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see how that comes out to. I mean, it's kind of,
and then we'll use these same
floating
dates.
and okay, I have a 7-day. This is a 7-day ticket with admission to one park per day. So it wants me to book tickets while I'm booking the resort.
Go for it.
Which is interesting. Okay. So we got our base ticket. This is not including a park hopper.
Add the park hopper.
Okay.
I
feel like
I
that's
take care of my
essential.
kids.
You're going to do a dining package too.
No. We're eating a la
I think
carte.
that's a waste, but we should talk about that another time.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. What is your guess for a 7-day ticket with a park hopper option, 7 or 6 nights at Pop Century for a family of 4?
6 nights, Pop Century, family of 4. I mean, I don't even know. I'm gonna just make up a number. I'm not even trying to add in my head. I'm gonna say it's like $6,000.
Okay. About $5,000.
$5,000?
Yeah.
What? A little
that
less?
Doesn't include so a little bit of less. Doesn't include flights. Doesn't include transportation.
All right, so let's go.
Protection,
let's
people
go.
Do that.
So let's just call it $5,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk airfare for 4. Let's bring these people in from Long Island.
Ooh, okay.
Do you have a problem with Long Island?
I have a problem with New York Airport.
All right. What airport would you like to? What airport?
So I feel like. Go ahead.
No, I just am trying to think of somebody that has to get to Orlando for the comparison.
Yeah.
Because they got to fly out of Atlanta to.
Okay, so let's look at the dates that we picked for. I have early May right now, so we're looking at.
I'm gonna guess it's $500 a ticket, maybe a little less, round trip. Now, obviously, you can book the Southwest and all this and the Spirits, but
yeah, I mean, the first flight that comes up is JetBlue for $182. I don't know if JetBlue includes your seat and your luggage and all that stuff, but let's say you're flying Delta, that does include all that stuff. $207.
Delta's $207 round trip from New York to Orlando?
From JFK.
Okay. So for a family of 4, it's less than $1,000, probably just shy of $1,000 with taxes?
Yep.
Okay, fine. So you're $6,000, and we haven't discussed food.
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you want to budget for food?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I feel like it depends on what people want out of their trip. Some people like the sit-down meals, and then other people are fine with just doing quick service. But I feel like most people, wouldn't you say like $50 a day per person is reasonable?
I was thinking 75 to 80 a head for 3 meals a day, plus a snack.
Yeah, I think it. So what are you thinking? Like 2, quick service for breakfast and lunch, and then a sit down for dinner.
Yeah, even if you did all quick service, right? Let's just say you did $15 per meal for quick service. Mm-hmm. Or even $12 a meal per quick service per person. One meal's $50.
Yeah, and that I was just thinking that doesn't include all the snacks that you're talking about. Like the popcorn and the Mickey bars.
So let's just say let's just say $75 a head for food per person a day. So $300 a day food.
Yeah. So if you're doing $300 a day for 4 people times 7, you're at like $2,100. All
right, so what are we at now for the trip? And we haven't done transportation to and from the airport, but whatever. What are we at?
We're at like 7,200.
Imagine you were like, "Oh, I'm supposed to total it up." Like, I'll listen to the replay and I'll let you know. What'd you say? 7,100? What'd you say?
Fact check. 7,200.
7,200. Okay. So now, if we were taking the same family to Tokyo from New York, so look
Okay,
up
let's see.
the flights first, Delta, and let's just send them all coach.
All right.
And you got to
Let's
remember a couple things
see.
while you're looking at that. You know, you're going to have the difference in the baggage and the travel to the airport. When you spend money internationally on your credit card, you're going to have the transaction fees. I was reviewing my expenses yesterday and a couple days prior, and just noticing the fluctuation, like even day to day in the park price, like the park ticket price.
Yeah.
Was a couple dollars different each day because of the conversion rate fluctuating, and then you get international transaction fees baked into that, and so you know it's always going to be an estimate here, but
Right. So I'm seeing just shy of 1,000 out of New York.
per person.
Yeah.
To Tokyo,
For that time of the year. Yeah, for that time of the year, because I know like you and I have looked up
okay.
Tokyo flights, you know, other times of the year, but let's just stick with that.
So it's $4,000.
Yeah.
For a family of 4, unless do we want to leave one of the kids behind and save a couple bucks? That's
That
not
wouldn't be a bad idea.
That wouldn't be a comp. All right. Timmy gets by this time. These are the decisions you're going to be making one day.
Next time.
Listen. All right. Setting you up for
Before
years.
my sister needs to stay in Orlando, so I can.
Oh my God, she's devious. But I don't even want to go there right now. She's just devious because I saw like unreal girl. Like you don't stop. So anyway, yeah, I'll that's a whole nother episode. So the yin and the yang that are you two, very different people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
family of 4, $1,000, great. Let's now look at the hotel for the same duration, and put them where I just stayed at the was it the Tokyo Bay Maihama First Resort, I think it's called.
Okay, got it. Let's see. Is it better to go through like these third-party travel sites, or did you go through their official website?
No, I would just Google it and see what the third parties give you, because somebody's going to give you, but then you got to click it and kind of see if it jumps up. But I think you're going to come in under 200 a night on average.
Yeah, I'm seeing like 150.
All right, so what's that for the week? For a family of 4, by the way, because I know they have different, like, let me tell you, I stayed in 3 different size rooms there. The first room, Kensie, was themed like the inside of a boat, but it was like captain's quarters, so it was scaled for that too. And there was like all this fun stuff on the wall and things to read, but I'm like, I don't want to read anything. I can barely pick my head up in here. I couldn't shower in there without hitting the ceiling.
I know. We stayed at I think like 3 different hotels when we were in Tokyo. No, not 3, like 2. Our first one had a lot of space, but the second one, it's a closet. You're staying in a closet.
Do you find that the packing between hotel rooms is never the same as the packing to go home?
I just throw everything in a bag. If it fits, you know, whatever.
Right, because you know it's all getting unpacked when you get there, so you don't pack it like I got stuff pouring out of my backpack in places I normally don't even use.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so what's the total?
All right, so if you're doing, did we do 7 nights or 6 nights?
I said Sunday to Sunday, so.
Okay, I was looking Sunday to Saturday, it looks like.
Well, I just want to be comparable with whatever you did for Disney, so as long as it's the same, that's all that matters.
Yep, it's the same. So we're coming out to 1,000, like 1,050.
Okay, so add that to our total. And now let's do park tickets every day.
All right, let's see. Trying to work my magic while I'm
No, that's fine. I can tell you that park tickets are going to average out to about $65 per person per day. Kids are cheaper on Tokyo. I forget what that price is. So even if you said
Oh,
120,
I didn't even think about that.
so I would just say 250 a day for a family of 4 on tickets is probably a safe bet because kids are like $15 cheaper or something.
250 a day, you said?
Yeah, I'm spitballing. If you want to look on their website to see if you can see a kid's price real quick, but I mean, if it's cheaper, it's only saving.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, we're coming out to like.
Don't ruin the final numbers. But
Yep, no.
for park tickets.
I should have two calculators open up here.
I told you, I was like, Kenzie, you just do the math and I'll keep the ball in the air. So if we've got but if we've got a
250
family
times 4 is 1,000, or 250 times not 1,000. 250 times.
Is it 6 days or 5 days? Because you said
7.
no, but if it's Sunday to Saturday, think about this for a second, Kenzie. If it's Saturday to Sunday, like how many tickets do they give you for Disney World? Because it's less with Tokyo because of the time change, right?
Yeah. So when I did Sunday to Saturday, they did a 7-day ticket.
Wouldn't this be a 5 or a 6? Because you're going to lose a day in there. Like, let's be honest. So I would almost just do 5 or 6 days on the tickets, however you want to swing it. Because listen, especially with kids, you're going to lose a day. You got to take all these things into consideration.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so let's do 250 times 6. So 1,500.
Okay, now food, I'm going to tell you, is much, much cheaper there. Okay, so if you were just doing quick service like we talked about, you could still do this. I would even just say just do food at the same price. Just 1-to-1 it on food. Like just match our food numbers because it's going to be cheaper in Tokyo. Like substantially cheaper.
Okay.
But
I'm trying to remember what we did. We did like $85 a day per person.
Yeah, but like just for Tokyo, yeah, just say $80 a day per person. Because again, these are rough numbers. Everyone's food needs are different, but also food's cheaper in Tokyo. Like I can tell you right now. So what they do is instead of a value meal, it's called a set, or not a value meal. Instead of a combo, it's called a set. So when you want like the fries and the Coke, you get the set. So let's say like a burger is, less than 1,000 yen, and then the set is like 1,700 yen or something. So like it's not even that much. So you can eat cheaper in Tokyo.
I believe it. I mean, just after being there, I completely agree with that.
I think these numbers are almost going to come in about the same. So what's the Disney trip totaled? 70, what do we say, 7,200?
7,200, yeah.
And with the food added to Tokyo?
Let's see.
It's going to be a 6 in there.
You think it's going to come out to 6,000?
I think it's going to be 6,400 and change. I'm just making up numbers now.
Okay.
Going off my gut.
I did my math wrong. I need to.
That's fine. You're building suspense. This is fantastic. But even if they're within, an earshot either way, it proves the point. But I think just doing those numbers for a family of 4. Now you're not, when you have to get the bus from the airport, it's less than $10 a ticket for the bus. So that's $40 each way for a family of 4. That's another $80, but that's no different than the Uber. Depending on how you do it. I'm not one to park at the airport. So.
Yeah. So I mean, this comes out to like 8,200.
Tokyo does?
It does. So what I wanted to ask you was, what type of resort do you think that the one you stayed at was comparable to, like, Pop?
I would say it's nicer.
Okay. So maybe that's a factor. Like, you're paying for a little bit of a nicer hotel, even though it's cheaper.
Yeah, no, this was a really nice hotel. There's, in this particular instance, there is you can add like the all day dining because they have like a restaurant downstairs. Just a really, really nice hotel. I would say, I mean, you can look at the profile online and look at what it is. It was that Poppin' and Art more or less are like you said, value. I would say if you were comparing this to a Disney resort, and I'm just
Hmm.
trying to be fair, because even
Yeah.
to say Coronado would be underserved because of this is an actual hotel like inside. It'd be staying in like the tower of like Coronado or like staying in the Riviera.
Ooh.
But not that
So
nice. Not quite that nice, just more in terms of like, oh, it's a big building, everything's inside, you know what I mean? It's not an ugly
yeah, I mean,
building.
I feel like that's like the moderate level though. You're not like completely deluxe, but you're not value.
So what's the can you real quick like change the bare minimum on a Disney trip and see what the because that's the differentiator is that but so even then that's going to move you over. That's going to make it more than the Tokyo trip.
I mean, isn't pop like the bare minimum?
That well, no pop is, but I'm saying like what's above that Riviera? Like what would be like the Riviera staying in the tower
I see.
at Coronado? I think those are going to be about 300 a night.
Yeah, easily,
So what?
easily.
Yeah,
Because you could get a cheaper hotel in Tokyo. I've been there. I've done $80 hotels.
but the hotel that I'm talking about is right behind Disneyland. You could walk there. You have the
Yeah,
shuttle bus because it's a it's a partner hotel.
right.
So just what's the
So
like?
you're on site essentially.
So whatever the price difference is between Coronado and all and excuse me, um, I keep wanting to call them the All Stars, but Pop and Art. So the bottom line is that fluctuation in the hotel is the only difference. And even if you're staying on site at Disney with all those options and can get a deal, the price difference is almost nominal because again, depending on how you book your flights, depending on where you're actually traveling from, it could be cheaper. Especially if you're somebody that's like, no, like I usually stay at wherever, the Grand Floridian, but I'm totally okay with staying at the Toy Story Hotel. I mean, you're still going to spend money. The on-site hotels at Disney and Tokyo are very pricey, but it just from a general like, can I make this trip work perspective? You can. It's the
Yeah, I
same.
mean,
It's the same price.
yeah, if you're talking about like doing the Coronado with, the 7-day ticket park hopper, you're adding $600 to your trip.
So now we're I don't remember what the numbers were. So now we're at 7,800 compared to six something.
Yeah.
Or no. Would you say
Well,
would you say
no,
Tokyo
no,
was?
like 8,200.
So $400 difference basically now is where we're at to compare.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the food cost is not comparable to Orlando. And we did the math in a way where it was.
Sure. No, I
So
I,
I
I
don't
agree.
know.
I agree. But again,
But
those are
the
those.
fat, yeah, go ahead.
No, I would just say that if the goal was to prove you could book a trip to Tokyo cheaper, all we have to do is move some of those sliders to bring down your
Yeah.
food a little bit because we overestimated on food.
Hmm.
Depending on how you're traveling, depending on where you're staying, even if what I just told you, what we just told you was that if you're going to spend 8 grand to go to Disney for a family of 4, you could go to Tokyo for the same price. I mean, that's
And you're flying
huge.
halfway across the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and I understand you're going to lose a day with travel, so maybe you're getting a less day in the park and all of that, but the experience is going to rock your world. Forget the kids. You're going to be blown away. All right, we got it done.
Yeah. We could probably really like hash this out if we wanted to, but I think people get the gist that they either they're close. They're close in the numbers when you talk about the affordability of a hotel and tickets in Japan, but you might have to pay quite a bit more with your flight. Unless,
it is totally within.
It depends on where you are.
It is totally within both of our dispositions to at some point crunch these numbers, irrespective of a podcast, and be like, "Look, it's cheaper." But I do believe it can be done, and I just think that to be that close says it all. I think that we over budgeted for food. I think again, you play with the hotels, and you're right there, if not under. So,
yeah.
Well, congratulations again to you. I really am happy for you. And I say it like that because, a lot of people go, oh, I'm happy for you. And then they're not. But, I'm sincerely happy for you. Couldn't happen to a better person.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
What does that mean?
I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. I do really appreciate it. It's been so much fun to be a part of, this channel and to see the growth of it. And it's funny because, my fiance is not the biggest Disney fan, but I think he admires this channel with, the happiness that it brings to me. So, yeah, thank you. I do appreciate it.
No, and it's just, it's one of those things after 3.5 years where you look around and you're like, who's still here and who's not. And it has been a real pleasure to get to know you. And I don't know Brian a lot. I know Brian a little bit. What I like most.
You met him.
Yeah, but what I like most about Brian is that he has no interest in Disney. That's
opposites attract.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Sometimes it's funny how something you can love as much as you love can so easily be tainted by others' addiction for it. So I look around and I see the way other people treat Disney, and it makes me cringe sometimes. I love it, but I love it differently. At least that's how I feel. So kudos to him.
He's a Universal guy.
He's a Universal guy?
Well, he likes Harry Potter.
Well, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Is he gonna go to Harry Potter World 3 or whatever it's gonna be called?
Epic Universe. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely going, and I think he'll be jealous if I don't take him with me. So
I really need to go see that park. I have not been to Universal Orlando since high school. So the last time I was there, I don't even know if Islands of Adventure existed.
I've only been one time, and that's so crazy to say with how often I go down to Disney, but I'm very excited for Epic Universe. I'm a Nintendo fan, so that's what I'm most excited for.
Okay, as am I, but can we just for 45 seconds just unpack this since you brought up Nintendo, because I'd be remiss if we didn't.
Sure.
This Alarmo clock that they released makes no sense. What problem are we solving?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. Can you explain it?
I love moments like this. All right. So, the biggest thing people were waiting for from Nintendo was a new Switch. Switch 2.
Yeah.
No, Nintendo came out with an alarm clock that plays clips from games and sound bites. And it's a round alarm clock. Okay. So it looks like something out of a Mario game. But do
people still use alarm clocks?
Well, that's a great point. They crammed a square screen in there, so when you're actually looking at it, it's a square screen in a round sort of display.
Okay.
It's got motion sensor, but apparently only works for one person. So then I saw somebody on Twitter, right? Well, so it's an alarm clock for single people. I'm like, well, maybe they know their market, but who needs an alarm clock from Nintendo? And if you for $100, I forgot that part.
Oh my! For what? What's so special about it?
Nothing. What? So I can get woken up by Yoshi? I could 3D print a housing for my iPhone for 8 cents. I'm so glad you mentioned Nintendo. I love Nintendo. I love Nintendo.
Yeah.
But who came up with that idea, and then who signed off on it?
It says make waking up fun.
Yeah, that's what coffee's for. Coffee makes waking up fun. I don't need Nintendo. You want to make Nintendo part of waking up? Make a cute mug. Problem solved. Sell it for $14.99. It could be a Yoshi egg I'm drinking out of. Oh, waking up with Nintendo's fun. I don't need an alarm clock. What year is this? I just spent all this time talking about how ahead of the curve Japan is, and they're setting us back.
Yeah, that's...
Needless to say, I ordered mine. It'll be here tomorrow. I'm just kidding. No way. Are you kidding me? What a crap product.
Yeah, I mean, everybody uses their phone, right?
I don't get it. Yeah, I agree. But listen, I do love Nintendo. That's another podcast for another day because I grew up on Nintendo, and it's you know, if you know anything about the history of Nintendo, you know Nintendo was a toy company before it was ever a video game company.
Okay.
So before they ever got in the video games, they were a Japanese toy company doing everything from cards to playing cards to all sorts of things. Tchotchkes, all sorts of little toys. When they cracked the video game, the only way they were able to make what's called market penetration, okay, in the U.S. was to sell it as a toy because video games were more or less dead at that point in American culture. So if you remember when the Nintendo first came over here, came out with that robot, the robot I was trying to chase down in Tokyo when you sent me into that back alleyway to go upstairs to the Nintendo store.
Sorry.
See how it's all coming full circle? So I was looking for the Robbie the Robot. Now they had him, but they had him from the Famicom version. Famicom is the Japanese precursor to Nintendo. Then there was Super Nintendo. There was Super Famicom first, family computer. So that's the Nintendo history in a nutshell.
That is for another podcast. There's so much to unpack there.
No, I have such an adoration for Nintendo. I adore Nintendo, and but the alarm clock not so much. No,
I'll be interested to see how this actually plays out. I mean, I did not even hear about this, and I feel like I'm a Nintendo fan. So okay. I'm disappointed in myself.
So what Kensie just said, and then we're going to go, is I really look forward to seeing how this alarm clock drama plays out. And that's just the problem with social media right there. So we'll leave it on that. And I have a great time. Have a great time, and I'll talk to you when you get back. And, you know, eat some good food for me, please.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Congratulations, Kensie. As we say, on behalf of my Jewish half, Mazel Tov. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.